Okay, let's get going. Pop that over there. Okay. So I am currently halfway through doing the wolf pelt. Spent the morning having a look, well, not all morning, I've spent a few minutes looking at the wolf pelts on thinking of how I'm going to do this. I did at one point, I was going to use an airbrush to try lines, the sort of demarc lines, so there isn't a hard edge. I wanted sort of a more of a soft transition into each of the colours. But after looking at the pelts, there's some quite hard edges to the transitions in the colours. In fact, some of them just look they're very haphazard. There's no pattern as such to them, and it's just a bit all over the place, really. So with that said, I'm going to stick with my initial plan. I'm going to go over the top now with some royal light grey. I'm going to put a little bit more over the forehead and front of the nose, and then it's going to be a bit random, sort of off to the sides. I want to get some more, if I can, off to the flanks. I don't want masses to go in underneath the grey underneath, so this really is going to be a just place it on and see, hope for the best, really. It may not work out as I've intended, it may be exactly as I want it. I've never done a wolf pelt before, so this shall be interesting. I'm going to pick a smaller brush for this because I want to all individual sort of strands, if I can, in certain areas, or clumps. And I know so I'm going to, I don't really want to just go in with the maybe a bit lighter slightly. Not too worried about the center, because the center's going to have the smoke back and across. That's going to be, so we're just picking out we definitely want the tips of the ears to be have this lighter fringe. Can't help but think at the moment if maybe the UMP concrete wash might have been a good move to make on this. Well, I don't have any of that particular wash at the moment. It would be, I'm just thinking for like future reference, it might be worth me giving that a try. Or even the winter wash. Hi, Matthias. How's it looking, Matthias? Do you think it's working? Can you see that? Get it in the middle. Come on. Why is it so stubborn? There. No, it's not having it. No, it just doesn't want to lock on. I was just asking Matthias if he felt that it's going in the right direction, because sometimes, you know, it's hard to. I feel that the best way to achieve, they are predominantly a lighter grey, and then they have you can see the darker grey underneath. The pelts I've looked at this morning, they've got this haphazard black to them. So for example, the black is just like it's just like large swathes of black that there's no pattern to them at all. Although I'm going to try and keep this one to as though there's a stripe down its back, and then the final effect will be to add a buff, a very light buff spray just behind the neckline, so this sort of area here. I've checked the colours. It's definitely a buff type colour, very, very light. There we go. Yeah, that's starting to. Apparently somebody was saying that paints are not the paints to use for miniatures. Can't afford any others, and they seem to be working out all right for me. So Stick with them until they cause me a problem, or if they cause me a problem. Yeah, I'm liking that now. It's actually so. Again, just loading the brush up very slightly, and then brushing along the back of the hairs, trying to follow one of the hairs in particular, and then a bit like capillary action, it just flows very lightly into some of the gaps, leaves some of the others alone. With this wavy sort of pattern, which actually I hadn't anticipated, and has actually come out much better than I was hoping. So I'm pleased with that. Now, if you load your brush up too much, this drop on the end, it's just going to flood, and it's not going to look stick. I don't think so. Each time you place your brush in your paint, when it comes off, just gently on the side of the cap, just pull and roll your brush to try and get a point on the end, because that's what you really want. And then just to take the excess off, you can see there I put too much on and it flooded the whole area. So just try and blend that in a bit more around that area, just to give that bit too much on there. I keep forgetting myself sometimes. There we go. Oh, damn, too much, too much. But use some of that to in this. There's an area here which I think is the underside of the pelt, which so I need to, all along the bottom here, to look at doing that in a pale, very, very weak pinky colour, but also with a hint of buff in it, maybe. I don't know if you've ever looked inside the inside of a dog's ear. I'm looking for that sort of colour if I can. No, it's all Jan. It's just a matter of thinning it. Thin it in the cap. Try it next time you've got some, or even experiment. Put a couple of drops of thinner in your, when you've shook your paint up. Take your cap out. Take your cap off the paint. Turn it upside down and add 2 drops of leveling thinner. And have a go with it then. It's so much different, so much better to paint with. I mean, it's usually very thick, I don't have much trouble with it at all this way, but I know the problems that you speak of. Just a little bit on the nose there, around the cheek, right, just in the tops of the ears there. Yes, right. So that's our stage done for the adding of the second layer for the wolf pelt. Now we're going to just add a little bit of shading. A little bit of shading on the just to start that process off. Brush off. I've just got ordinary water in this little dish here, which I'm beginning. It's not quite strong enough to work with the Tamiya paint. Most of it, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm just going to add a little bit of airbrush cleaner. And use that. Just getting the ferrule clean at the end. Don't worry, I'm not twisting the brush all over the place. There we go, much better. It starts to about once a month I'll go through them with the brush cleaner and restorer. So I'm going to use yeah, slightly brush, roughly about the same size, because I want to try and limit where I'm putting these this Reichland flesh shade. It's a Citadel product, and it is a shade, obviously, as the name suggests. And I really like this stuff. It's a bit like Nuln oil, but it's much better for faces. So we're going to load our brush up, and this time it doesn't really matter much on, because we're going to come along and clean it up afterwards anyway. Just trying to restrict it. I don't want to get it all over the face. If I can, just in certain areas, because once I've got the beard and everything on, I will add a clear coat with this, and and make a much thorough job. At the moment, I just want to see, just add a little bit just to see what it's going to look like. And add a little bit to the eyes there. And then there, and just across the brow. Not my strong point, weathering and you know, using shades and stuff like that. I do tend to mess things up a bit. Everything sort of goes really well for me. These final touches, I normally get something wrong in it. Shouldn't really admit to that on a live stream. I've got a bit of stubble underneath here as well, which is why I've gone a bit higher on the cheeks. I'm going to let that dry off there. It's more a little experiment here. I'm just wanting to see what the flesh shade dries like on the cheeks there, because it might be I found a way of creating stubble. So what I'm going to do, just quickly, I'm going to pass some airbrush air just over the face. Try and help dry it a bit quicker. I've not got the airbrush is not right in front of the face, I should add. I'm just waving it from quite a distance away, just to let some cool air help dry. Right, so maybe a darker wash, and that could work. Let me just get a moist cotton bud just to remove that on his nose. There we go. Perfect. So I'm probably gonna just clean up a tiny little bit. That's airbrush cleaner. I don't want to use that. It's because I was using water in there earlier. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Leave it like that for now. Come back to it again when I'm going to do some more work on the face. I'm going to add some highlights to it. I'm going to clean off a lot of this wash that I've put down. I know what I've found out what I want to know now. I'm going to change the wash actually when I put this down next. I'm going to see if I can make it a little bit darker with his colour around his beard rather than his face colour. So I want two different washes. I'm going to wash his face with this, but round his eyebrows and his beard I want to use a darker colour. But before I do that, I will need to put a clear coat down. So anyway, that's that for today. I don't know how long that's been. Hope you've enjoyed watching. Next time, and we'll do a bit more of General Maximus. Thanks for watching. Bye.